This video is brought to you by Industrial Scripts, script development and training trusted by the industry. Drive is a 2011 thriller written by Hossein Amini from a novel by James Sallis. Star Ryan Gosling chose Nicolas Winding Refn to direct, bringing his unique sensibility to the film. The result is a film of extremes. There's the idyllic, sunny LA set to synthy, poppy electronic music with pink brushstroke fonts, which is like an indie romance. Then there's the nighttime, the crime and betrayal and ultraviolence. Beauty and ugliness coexist in the same space, and even, in the infamous elevator scene, in the same moment. This is a theme Refn since returned to with The Neon Demon, and both films have the feel of a fairy tale. This scene, an unexpected encounter between the driver and his neighbour Irene and her son Benicio, is an example of how this darker undercurrent is present even in the daytime. It begins from the driver's perspective, keeping the audience limited to his point of view. Her car has broken down, but is it just chance that she's come to the garage where he works? In a more reality-based story, this might be too coincidental, but it works with a fairy tale feeling. There's an ambiguity to the driver character. In some ways, he is a blank slate, allowing the audience to project their emotions onto him. He's actually fairly childlike, as shown in this scene, where the character he gets along easiest with is Benicio.
You blinked.
What?
Earlier, the driver offered Irene a backstory that very vaguely explained who he is and what he does.
I drive?
Shannon elaborates on a few details.
He's a good guy. You know, he walked into my shop here about 5 or 6 years ago, right out of the blue, asking for a job. So I put him to the test, see what he can do. Kid's amazing. So I hire him on the spot. Boom. At about half the wages I normally pay. He didn't blink an eye. Hey, kid, come over here for a second, will you? And I have been exploiting him ever since.
But listening closer, this adds to the driver's mystique rather than dispelling it. Where did he come from originally? How did he learn so much about cars and engines? What motivates him? Because it's certainly not the money. There are multiple layers of conflict at play in this scene. We already know about Irene's incarcerated husband. Regardless of whether the driver is romantically interested in her, the closer their friendship becomes, the easier it is to misinterpret. In this scene, Shannon volunteers the driver to take her home. There's a loyalty and obedience in the driver's relationship with him, so he complies. Shannon is like a father figure to him. To Shannon, however, the relationship is more mercenary. He may think he's doing him a favour, trying to set them up together, but he also gets to keep Irene's car for a few more days and charge her for more work that it may not need.
Look, looks like we have a bigger problem than I thought. We're gonna have to keep the car here for a few days.
In this scene, this leads to an awkward moment between the driver and Irene.
Oh, that be okay?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I don't have wheels in my car.
Okay.
It's one thing you should know about me.
We'll put the tires on.
You got 5 minutes?
Yeah.
Next time, however, these cross-purpose motivations could lead to something more serious and dangerous.
No. I just wanted him to fucking told them about Irene. Calm down. You told them about Irene? Calm down, kid. Just calm down. I should fucking kill you. You told them about Irene. I just wanted...
The driver lives in both the light and dark sides of the city and casts himself as Irene's protector.
I could come with you. I could look out for you.
However, his efforts end up making everything worse. As Gosling put it, this is a guy that's seen too many movies and he started to confuse his life for a film. He's lost in the mythology of Hollywood and he's become an amalgamation of all the characters that he admires. The character of the driver is never named, and yet he has become iconic. One takeaway lesson is that detailed backstory would make a character like this less interesting. He would become real and mundane rather than mythic. This film and this scene are also great examples of how to not only reconcile two potentially incompatible tones, but to make that conflict central to the film.
Hey, do you want to see something?